Hey there, welcome to 2 p.m. with the Trigger. And guess what? I'm not Trigger. It's probably pretty obvious. But I have something special for you guys today because I get the opportunity to host and the honor of interviewing Mr. Rich Bontrager himself. So we are on the third day of this special series, S-S-S Stutter. It is part of National Stutter Awareness Week. And did you know that 60% of those that stutter have a family member who does as well? This was actually part of Rich's story. So let's get some of his story out of him. Rich, come on back onto the camera with us. Hello. How weird is it to see your show started by somebody else?
This is great to have someone else run my show. Holy cow. Sandra, thank you very much for being here. This is going to be great. I'm in your hands. And by the way, I have no idea what's coming next, everybody. That's the fun part of doing this.
That's right. He has no idea what's happening. We have a list of guidelines, but he doesn't know what I'm going to be asking. So, you brought up in the note that you gave me here about 60% of the people that stutter have a family member that does too. And, I just want to throw out, I'm sure you've done this, but when I started to do my crash resource, my crash research on this stuff this morning, it's a 1% of the population in the world stutters. That doesn't seem like a big deal until you look at the actual numbers, right? 1% of the population. Okay, why even bother talking about this? Why give a whole week of awareness? Because that translates to, as you said, the new numbers, 80 million people are affected by stuttering. This is no small deal, and it can be just devastating. I was watching some videos of people that were talking with Steve Harvey, who I think you've mentioned has recovered from recovered from a stuttering issue, and he helps a lot of people like you're helping people during this week too. And it was just really amazing to me to see the struggles. And as a victim of bullying myself, we'll talk about that. I think that probably had something to do with you toughening up during your childhood, right? Of going through this. But go back to your family. As you said, who in your family also stuttered?
My mom stutters. And to this day, it's far worse than me. I've learned skills, coping mechanism, different tricks, no formal speech therapy, but my mom still stutters, and she has those hard like K's and R's. So when she's stuck on a word, she won't give up on it. I will edit and redo my sentence and make it flow in the moment. She will make sure she fights for it. So it's contagious though. When you have a parent or someone else that stutters in your family, it will trip me up and bring back the stutter habits. Nowhere near as bad still as I was when I was a kid. But as a kid, it was like Abbott and Costello. One would start, the other would go, and it would escalate, and it would just be a disaster when we were around people in public.
So at this point, when you're hosting shows, you've obviously, got this fluidity about your speech. Do you just want to help her? Do you just want to give her, or is she not open to that?
No, she's not. It's my mother.
Family, right?
I am still little Richie, and I will always be a little Richie. But that's part of it. But she also has come to, as we've talked about this week, she accepts it. It's who she is. Ellen stutters, and people have to get used to it because Ellen's just going to fight for it, and she's going to push her way through the words. So it's part of her awareness, her comfort, and some people just have to get used to that discomfort too.
Yes, but it's also, there's a discomfort for other people as well. I mean, this is like, we're getting into the sticky stuff, I know, but it's uncomfortable for other people. And I know that sometimes we see people that stutter, and I'll see someone pose a question like, so, hey, what's going on? And then the person that's asked the question kind of goes like this. Like, I may have to camp out here for a while.
Yes, because how long will it take you to get through the and whatever else? How long does that answer take?
Yes.
You can either cut them off, or you can let them do it and then just keep going with the flow. Yesterday, the guy that I interviewed yesterday, Patrick stutters very hard. He has a hard cadence, but we had a great time, and he's okay with it. And that's one of the messages is the more comfortable we as stutterers get, the more we need to help other people get comfortable with the fact we will stutter.
Do you think, and you've probably covered it this week, do you think this is something that anyone can get over if they want to get over? If they don't want to accept it, is it something that can be, do you say cured?
No, there is no cure. That's documented. There's no pill. There's no nothing. There are therapies and tricks that can help people, I know, but stuttering is pretty much with you. Now, there are traumatic events that can kick it in. Someone we're going to talk to this week had a traumatic event. It kicked it in. And later in life, they kind of revisited that trauma and it alleviated the stutter. There's still minor parts of it, but it dropped way down when they address that event in life. So some of it is traumatic events.
Interesting. Okay. That to me almost seems like, I know we're not here to cure anything, but maybe continuing a conversation a little in a little while or on another show.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by the brain, and I
Yeah.
believe that we can change, and the neural pathways the neural pathways can change. The plasticity of the brain does not go away like they used to think decades ago. So I don't know. I wonder if you don't read and stutter, perhaps there is a way to work around that. And you've certainly found the way to do it. You
But
found the way to do it. Like you said, if I hit something, then I just find another word.
right. This is editing all the time. People have no idea. This is editing, cut and pasting, and I'll make it fluid and make it come out. Most people do not know I was going to stutter. I was beginning to stutter, and I've got around it. Now, going back to reading, when
Yeah.
I grew up, I had to read out loud in class, stand up and read the
Sure.
Run Dick Jane and all that good stuff. I would cry. I would begin to kick in. The kids literally in the room, in the moment, whispered. And Bomb Booger, Bontrager, Buttrager, they made all these names up because I couldn't speak like the way they could.
Kids
My
can be
grammar,
cruel,
what?
right? Kids can
Oh,
be pretty cruel.
it was cruel. I would come home crying very often on the bus because the whole way in, the whole way out, I was the butt of every joke. Bontrager, and it went on and on. And my parents, at some levels, understood it. At some levels, they didn't, because it was big boys don't cry, buckle up, come on, just be a kid. It's not that bad. They're just teasing you to have fun. And believe me, anyone that's gone through that, it's not teasing.
Yeah. Bullying is not. It's not fun.
And so when it came to the reading side, it was my grandmother who literally sat me down. I have very vivid memories of me in the front parlor with my grandmother. I'm a big comic book fan. Fantasy was probably my way to escape from
Yeah.
my reality. And she said, open up your comic and read it out loud. And there's those little bubble things, God. But she said, do it in your voices. So I was Batman. I was Superman. I was Robin. She would have me change my voices. And when I became a character, when I began to fall in love with the book, the stutter went away. And that was one of the early tricks that I learned, that my imagination is part of my cure.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. All right. Now, speaking, we're still talking about your family. You mentioned your grandmother,
Yeah.
and your grandfather was a senator,
Yeah.
right? And there were lawyers in your family as well. Was it your father?
My
Lawyer?
dad was a lawyer and a judge.
And two brothers that were high achievers academically. So did that increase the pressure on you? Did that make things worse? Because I mean, anxiety will make the stuttering worse, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, right? So
Well,
how did that affect you?
Well, it's anxiety, but it is a family dynamic. Studies show that family dynamics play into it. So because mine were highly influential, very strong, confident men, brainiacs. Like when I went to high school, I got into the physics class. And literally the expectation was I was going to be like my older brother, Dan, who all-star American, brainiac. And early on, I found out Rich ain't the same kid that Dan is. He's not going to figure out physics. Now, but it did impact my stuttering. It impacted that conference because there was this expectation, and I was okay being the fun-loving, playful, imaginary guy, but they wanted me to be something else. Many of them had that preconceived idea.
Right.
And it did impact my stutter. It did impact that confidence of walking into the room, and my mind's already thinking, they've already met 3 of my cousins. They know who my dad is, my grandfather. Whew. And it messed me up.
Yeah. A little worse, do you think? Because you knew that you had the stuttering? I mean, it would mess a lot of people up.
Oh,
It
yeah.
would
Oh,
mess,
yeah.
I mean, coming along after a history like that, expectations, in the school, they're going to look at you like, okay, what do you got? What are you bringing? No
Well,
matter what.
and where I grew up in Elker County, Bontrager, particularly my Bontrager line of family, were very influential. And if I had stayed in Indiana, I could have thrown my name out and I could have run for politics in a heartbeat and been fully endorsed very easily. That's a little pressure of knowing you have that weight behind you when this doesn't work.
Right.
Because
Or
how
it
do you
doesn't
introduce
work like
yourself?
everybody expects it to work. Let's put it like that. It works. It just doesn't work the way other people expect it to work.
Yes.
The
Yes.
difference.
And yes. And that's what this whole week is all about.
So when you were getting bullied, I put my hand up when you mentioned that it's not easy,
Yeah.
right? What, what was the messaging that you were getting from your family? Was it a good message of how to get through? And I'm saying this because, hey, it's Mother's Day coming up, as we're filming this. And if anybody's listening that has a kiddo that's stuttering and you're worried he will or won't grow out of it, and you're, dealing with the situation now and kids are being mean, did your family tell you the right thing when you get mine did? Did your
No.
family tell you the right thing when you were getting bullied? How did
No.
you get through it?
No, because I was also deaf in one ear. I had bad eyesight. So my eyes sometimes, I'm looking at you, but my eyes will go someplace else. So I literally was a very interesting guy to turn around and talk to. And I know people have said, where are you looking, man? And then I had my head cocked like this when I was a kid. I've learned to overcompensate with the earring now. But there were all these things going against me. So the bullying was really heavy. And my parents didn't understand. They just didn't understand what to do.
What did they say to you? Okay, let's go back. What did they say to you when you came
Suck it
home
up.
in tears?
Suck it up. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. They're just like, they just don't understand. I was punched. I was spit on. I was wedgied. I mean, everything you can imagine happened to me.
What would you have rather, in retrospect, what would you have rather, or if you had a child that you were helping through that same time, what would you rather they said to you?
Literally sit down and listen and literally say, okay, I know this is rough. I really understand. You want your friends and you want people to appreciate you. You want to be confident. And I'm sorry that it's not that way, but we're here for you. We believe in you. We love you. Early on, my family knew that I wanted to be a broadcaster. Early on, they knew my love of media and listen to Cubs baseball. I talk about that story all the time, but
Right.
my parents said, it's never going to happen.
I so identify with that as well. Yeah. Did you get to a point with that messaging that you said, "Oh yeah, watch me"?
There was somewhat of the defy the odds mental attitude. I dare you to tell me one more time. There was part of that. And you and I both have a very strong faith. The faith was the other cure. Then my belief in God, the help from God, did something miraculous that nothing else ever could have happened. I totally credit God stepping in and reshaping what I get to do today.
Awesome. So was there a moment, was there a turning point where maybe it was a day that you were struggling a lot and then all of a sudden something clicked and you went, I can do this?
There were two, actually. I was dating a gal in high school and she totally understood my stutter and everything else. And I had a big surprise date plan and I was extra nervous and tongue tied. And she sat there looking at me and said, and then finally she just cut me off and says, look, relax. I'm going to say yes. I know you've gotten something secret planned. Just relax. I already am going to say yes. Believe it. And it was kind of like, wow, I'm okay. She's okay with it. So
did it help?
Relax. Oh, it totally changed the idea of me just embracing it. To me, say, okay, they're okay with it. I'm okay with it. The other one really was 10 weeks. I signed up for a drama team with a Christian organization. I was going to be acting as a Roman soldier, the big bad Roman soldier, all summer long for 10 weeks. And I was blowing it all week long, final preparation. We met for the final dress rehearsal, and it was in front of a live audience. We met backstage. They huddled up, and they said, here's the deal. Rich hasn't done this all week long. It's been a disaster. We all know it. If Rich cannot hit it tonight, we have to pull this back, and you guys can travel for 10 weeks doing puppets. No pressure at all. No pressure at all on Rich, right? We prayed, we huddled up, we walked out, and I hit every mark, every line, every cue, every attitude. I could see my actors, their eyes were getting bigger as we went through it saying, when's he going to blow it? When's he going to blow it? And we got to the back, and they huddled up. The director's almost crying. And she goes, it's a moot point. God just showed up. God wants you to go do it. Go. And we did it all summer long. And that was the biggest turning point because guess who became the speaker, the fill-in pastor, the fill-in interview guy that every radio station talked to throughout the 10 weeks?
You.
The guy that stuttered. And
So
it completely changed.
the moment that you went from the rehearsals, though, to the live show where you said no pressure, right? That's intense pressure.
Oh gosh, yes.
So, what do you think? Like, was it just a God thing, or was there
I
something that absolutely went, okay, I found my groove? You
uh
know?
a God thing, 110%. I will never deny that he literally grabbed and took over. Second was I really did step and become the character. And Bruce Willis, who stutters, talks about becoming that character. The other person has helped him to get around his stutter for years and years and years.
Yeah,
So I literally was in the moment. I was a bad soldier. I was going to come up to them, and I was, um, and partly what I get to do now through everything I get to do as media interviewer, sportscaster, I get to play a role. There is an entertainment acting part of what I do every day, and learning that cadence, learning how to do that has unlocked a ton. But in the middle of it all is my tongue does not work the way it's supposed to. And the only reason it does is God. Now, I have learned techniques. My
sure.
brain speed and my mouth speed used to be out of sync.
Right,
When I
right.
figured to put the rate of information to the rate of output at the right speed, that helped immensely. So I'm not tripping over, I got to get everything out right away, Sandra. I got to tell you everything right now and be like, and then we start fighting. When I figured out how to do that, that was the other big game changer.
That's cool. Now, somebody in my research, tell me what you think of this. Just curious, because if anybody is dealing with this, right, or their kiddos are dealing with it, you're going to go and you're going to Google things, and it's going to come up, and you're probably going to find different techniques and things. So one of the gentlemen that I was researching said, you know what? He goes, if you're dealing with this, he goes, the pressure is coming from looking in somebody's eyes. Start. Don't stay there. But the first step is to look away from their eyes and say 3 times in your mind what you're going to say and then say it. Is that of any value?
It may be for some people. For me, it's the completely opposite way. What I've learned is I have to go first. So I would want to ask the girl out, hang out with my friends, meet somebody new, and I would wait so I could figure out how I was going to answer them. And it would make my tongue get more tied. I now go first. Almost every time I meet somebody new, I'll go, hi, I'm Rich. I'm Trigger. Nice to meet you. Put out my hand, look them in the eye, and they have to go second. And
Oh,
somehow by me going first, it allows me to just go at whatever is going to come out, and it's going to come out, and I'm okay with it. The other way is I've got to think now what I'm going to say.
right. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So, I mean, the point that I see here is that it's different for every person.
Yes, there is
There's
no
no cut and dry.
play-by-play book to fix this.
Right, right. There's no, like you said, there's no playbook. There's no rules
No.
of play here. It's just whatever works.
Everyone is an individual, and that's part of understanding stutterers. You can't say, well, it's this, it's that, it's that. Now, they do have family dynamics and other things that come into it. Those
Yeah.
are generalizations. But you can't say, okay, here it is. Let me wave my wand, tell you how to do it, and walk away, and you're okay. Never going to happen. Everyone is customizable in this.
You actually you have a talk that you do on this, right? Stutter to stage.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. What give me one takeaway from your talk that you share with audiences?
Probably one of the biggest takeaways really is the idea of relax. The other one is laugh at yourself. I found something that if I was able to laugh at myself, not down at myself. This is not self-deprecating and beat yourself up. This was if I blew it on stage, which I do, literally I invite the crowd because the crowd will grab their armchairs, they'll fold their bodies and close off and not listen anymore. I'm thinking, here comes the train wreck. And so I get to go, that was my stutter. That's me. Now, take two. And people laugh, they chuckle. Sometimes they'll go, but if I can lighten the mood for other people, it
Yeah.
lightens the mood for everybody. But that's on me. I have to set that. And so one of the things I encourage people to do is don't take themselves so serious. I speak on very serious things sometimes, but I don't take myself serious. I have to have fun doing this.
I can see how that would make people feel more at ease, you know? I mean, they're rooting for you. It's not that they're rooting against you, but as you said, you can start to see them kind of hold themselves, which you know, they may be kind of like trying to wish they were giving you a hug, right? But what you see is people closing up, and that's got to be difficult. So I love that you give them the opportunity to laugh at the elephant in the room, so to speak, right? You point it
Yeah,
out. You go,
yes.
here it is. This is me.
Well, and that's exactly what we talked about yesterday with my guest was the elephant in the room and allowing people to look and admit that it's there. And the first one admitting it is us. I'm okay. So
Right.
you can be okay because I'm okay.
Isn't it like that with so many things though that people deal with, you know, whether it's weight, and we have a lot of people talking about weight, or
Mhm.
whether it's, you know, anything that people see. Um, I don't even need to go into it, but I think you understand it. Like, no matter what it is, if you just point it out and go, hey, yeah, this is, you know, this is me. This is what we're dealing with. And people can kind of just be in the moment and
And
not feel awkward.
well, and being able to embrace that. I've been given a great platform now. 36 years I've been able to speak, travel,
You
be on
pastor your
live
church. I
stages.
mean, I'm sure people know that, but pastoring a church is like huge pressure.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no pressure of saying, by the way, every week you need to come up with a new sermon, speak, and open up the Bible and read from it. No pressure at all. And you
That would be
can't,
setting the bar pretty high when you look back at you being a kid, right? Like,
well, and the other thing is my imagination, as I said. Growing up, I did talk to my army men. I talked to Superman and Batman, my action figures. I would line them up and I would talk to them in the basement and give them lectures and sermons. I had totally forgot about this. I had totally forgot about this, Sandra, until 7 years ago. My parents brought it up and said, "You've always been speaking to the crowds." And I said, "What?" He said, "Don't you remember?" And then also it was like this flash of memory came back. I'm in my basement with my toys all standing up. And I did have a mini pulpit, a little lectern that I built. And I was standing there doing it as a little 5, 8, 10-year-old. And I'm like, holy cow.
oh my
That's
God.
how embedded this is in my life.
Yes.
And now I get to help other people. Now I get to use the platform I've been given
Right.
to shine a light on this and pull back the veil and say, hey, here it is. And I'm not alone. You're not alone. But it's become one of the brand markers of what I get to do. I do not hide this in any way, shape, or form. In fact, when I get introduced on stage, the final ending of when I go on live on stage, the announcer will read my pre-written words. The guy that stutters for a living is here to help you rock the stage and learn how to speak better. Welcome to Trigger. And yes, I get laughs. I get people cringing. They don't know what's going to happen next.
I love it. I love it. So you've actually created some levity around it. You're making an impact. You're changing people's lives that maybe feel like something that can hold them back. And you know, I'm right out there encouraging people to just do it. You know, and you're a great example of that, and you're a great inspiration. And I know that you've got some more guests coming up this week. I mean, it's only Wednesday, right? So you've
Yeah.
got a show going tonight. Am I correct? With special guest Dee Bowden.
Yeah, How to Rock the Stage live at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight.
Yeah.
We're streaming live on many of these same channels.
There you go. And so I think it's going to be fantastic. And tomorrow at 2 p.m. is when you have the continuation of these interviews for Stutter Awareness Week. And can you give us a little lead into who it's going to be, a little tease, or do we just have to show up?
Funny enough, I had a lot of international people that were formerly internationals. So again, this idea that there's millions around the world, 1 in 100 people around the world stutter. And I just got really fortunate to get people that are global people to actually speak about it. But they're here in the States, living amazing careers, CEOs, executive. The gentleman yesterday was a double valedictorian, and he skipped school for most of his life with a stutter.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, it would be tempting to skip school for bullying, for being bullied. And yeah, I get it. I mean, I get it more than you know. The
Yeah,
conversation
we're gonna
with
have
somebody yesterday about skipping school, you know, but I don't recommend that, by the way. That is
we
not,
are not endorsing that.
no,
Uh,
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm
So
not.
we're gonna have 2 more guests this week, and again, this is a part of my mission. We do this twice a year. We do the National Stutter Awareness Week, and then I do the Bully Week because the two do intersect in my life and many people's lives. So going back to school, there was a whole week I focus on the anti-bully and sharing some of that story and bringing people on to share their messages as well.
Oh man, I'd love to help you with that and support you in any way I can with the anti-bullying as well. So that's right up my alley. So do you want to wrap it up, my friends?
Oh no, no, you're the host. You're gonna wrap it up.
Okay, I'm following your lead. It's still your show. It is still your show. So you tell me, the best thing to do.
Hey, you had someone that you were reading about today or exploring.
Did. Yeah.
Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that, and I'm going to get off camera, and then you're going to wrap it up 2 p.m. with the trigger, Sandra
You're such a
style.
cutie pie. Okay, fine. Let's do that. Let's do that. So yes, I was researching a long list, which I think Trigger was saying that he was sharing with everybody this week, of celebrities that actually had stuttering issues and we didn't even know. Marilyn Monroe was one of them. I was a huge Marilyn Monroe fan in my early 20s. I'm still a fan, but I went really deep with her. That was something that I never knew. And another was Steve Harvey, much like Rich, has gone on to host live events, TV shows, the Family Feud, right? And I actually saw a clip of him helping somebody in the audience of Family Feud. I can only imagine it was during the show filming or whatever, that somebody stood up and asked him a question about how he overcame his stuttering. And to see him reaching out, it's really something that's very strong in his heart to be able to help people in his own way, different techniques than what Rich Bontrager has shared with us here today. He has different ways of doing it, but that's the good thing, is to know that there are other ways that you can come at this issue if you do want to slow that stuttering and work with your stuttering. And I have a little bit of it myself. I catch myself every once in a while doing the same thing that we're talking about. And so there are ways that you can work with it. And I just really appreciate having the honor today of interviewing our own host, Rich Bontrager, and being able to get his story out, because so often he's the one asking the questions. So, and he will be asking the questions again. So tonight, the Rock the Stage show is going to be streaming live, and the special guest tonight with Rich is going to be Dee Bowden. That is 7 p.m. Eastern Time US. So you can catch it live on many of the same streaming channels that you're watching this on right now. And then tomorrow at 2 p.m., we continue with the S-S-S Stutter series for Stutter Awareness Week. He has another guest that's going to be sharing. Apparently, he hinted it's an international expert that's going to be sharing their story on stuttering and how they have been able to work with it. So thank you so much for being here on the show today. And we will catch you maybe later tonight at 7 p.m. when Rich comes back for his Rock the Stage show. All right. Bye, everybody.